You are born in a city that doesn't belong to its own people. Jerusalem, 33 AD. The year everything changes, though you don't know that yet. Nobody does. What you know is the dust under your sandals and the sound of Roman boots on limestone, and a system so old, so layered, that nobody alive remembers what it was like before it was here. 10 levels of power in this city. 10 rungs on a ladder built from money, blood, religion, and fear. Where you stand on that ladder determines what you eat, where you sleep, who touches you, who looks at you, who pretends you don't exist. Level 1, the unclean. You wake up outside the walls, not outside the city the way travelers are outside it, passing through on their way somewhere better. Outside the way garbage is outside, placed there deliberately because the inside can't tolerate you. You're a leper, or maybe you're not. Maybe the rash on your arm is just a rash, but it doesn't matter, because a priest looked at it and declared you unclean, and that's it, done. The diagnosis isn't medical, it's theological. Your skin is rotting because God is angry at you for something, and that logic is so airtight in this culture that even you half believe it. Has already walked away, because looking at you too long might invite whatever curse you carry. The leper colonies outside the walls are clusters of people the city has decided are already dead. You live among them. Beggars with missing limbs. People whose minds broke. There's a man wandering the region who supposedly heals lepers with a touch. You've heard the stories from other outcasts, who heard them from travelers who heard them from someone else. Sounds like the kind of thing desperate people make up. But you listen anyway because when you're level 1, stories are all you've got. Level 2, the slave. You are property, not metaphorically, legally, a human being with a purchase price and an owner and a set of rules about how much damage that owner can do to you before it counts as a problem. The temple at the center of the city, the one you can see from the quarry if you look up, is dedicated to a god who freed his people from slavery in Egypt. You think about that a lot. Nobody else seems to. Now, level 3 is where most people live. The peasant. You're free, technically. That word is doing a lot of heavy lifting. You farm a small plot of land your family has worked for generations, or you fish the Sea of Galilee, or you shape wood for people who can afford to build things. You produce value with your hands and your back. Problem is, everyone above you on the ladder takes their cut before you get to keep anything. Rome takes a tax. That's the imperial tribute, non-negotiable, enforced by guys with swords who aren't going to ask nicely. Herod's family takes their share because puppet kings still have expensive tastes. Then the temple takes tithes, roughly 13%, and the priest will remind you that this one isn't optional because God said so, and you don't want to argue with God. After everyone's been fed, you eat what's left. Good year, that's enough. Bad year, you borrow. 2 bad years, you sell the land. 3 bad years, and you're level 2. Honestly, the only thing standing between you and slavery is one drought, one sick season. Then there's level 4, the zealot. You stop trying to hold those two things together. The promise says freedom. The reality says occupation. So, the reality has to go. You're underground. Secret meetings in back rooms and caves outside the city. Conversations that die the second a stranger gets too close. You carry a psyche, a short curved dagger, tucked under your cloak. The Romans call your kind sicari, dagger men. They mean it as a slur. You wear it like a badge. Your targets are collaborators, Jewish officials who sold out to Rome, tax collectors squeezing their own neighbors, sometimes a Roman soldier who wandered too far from his unit. The kills happen in festival crowds when the streets are packed, a blade between ribs, a body falling, and you're gone, absorbed into the mass of people before anyone processes what just happened. You're not a formal army, you're cells, networks, leaders who use fake names, safe houses that rotate. The Romans crucified thousands of open rebels along the roads as a warning, lined the highways with dying men on crosses. You learned from that. You don't organize openly. You don't fight battles. You bleed them slowly. Moving up to level 5, the tax collector. You are the most hated person in Jerusalem who isn't Roman. And honestly, at least the Romans are upfront about what they are. Foreign conquerors taking your stuff by force. You're worse. You're local. You grew up here. You prayed in the same synagogues as the people you now rob. Here's how the system works. Rome doesn't collect its own taxes. Too much hassle. Instead, they auction off the collection rights to locals. You pay Rome a fixed amount up front. Then you go out and collect as much as you can from the population. Whatever you collect above what you owe Rome, you keep. The system is engineered to produce exactly the kind of person you are. Someone willing to squeeze their own people for a profit margin. And the money is good, really good. You eat well, you live well. Your house is the nicest one on the street, and nobody will come inside it. The Pharisees declared tax collectors ritually unclean, same category as prostitutes. Your old friends cross the street. Your family gets the same treatment by association. Your kids get bullied because of what their dad does for a living. So you traded your entire community for a bigger paycheck. 1. Level 6. The Pharisee. You don't have soldiers. You don't have a fortune. What you have is something that might be more dangerous than either one. You decide who's righteous and who isn't. There are about 6,000 of you across the region. You control the synagogues, which means you control what regular people hear about God every single week. You interpret the Torah, and you add to it. Generations of oral tradition piled on top of the written law, until the traditions carry just as much weight as Scripture. 613 commandments in the Torah. While the Romans are breathing down everyone's neck, the carpenter's son from Nazareth is becoming a problem. He teaches like he has authority, but it doesn't come from any school or institution you recognize. He tells a parable about a Pharisee and a tax collector, both praying in the temple, and in the story, the tax collector walks away forgiven, and the Pharisee doesn't. You understand exactly what he's doing. He's saying, you're the bad guy. He's saying the entire system you built to protect God's law has become the thing keeping people from God. The crowds eat it up. You don't. Now, level 7, the Sadducee. This is where the real money is. Old money, temple money, the kind of wealth that doesn't have to announce itself. Your family has been running the temple priesthood for generations. You're the aristocracy of Jewish life. Your name is on the donor walls. Your sons inherit positions that come with both spiritual authority and truly obscene financial returns. Because the temple isn't just the spiritual center of the Jewish world. It's a money machine, and you run it. Every sacrifice requires an animal bought from temple-approved vendors at prices you set. Every foreign pilgrim has to exchange their Roman coins for temple currency at rates you control. Every Jewish male pays an annual temple tax. All of it flows toward you. The temple treasury is one of the largest concentrations of wealth in the entire Eastern Mediterranean. There's so much gold stored in there that when the Romans finally loot it in 70 AD, It actually crashes the gold market across Syria. But it works. So, when the Galilean preacher walked into the temple courtyard and started flipping over the money-changing tables, he wasn't just making a spiritual point. He was attacking your revenue stream, in public, during a festival, in front of thousands of witnesses. The theology you can argue about all day, the money you protect, level 8, the Roman centurion. Everything below this level is local politics, Jewish priests arguing with Jewish teachers about Jewish law under Jewish rules. This is where the empire walks in. You command about 80 soldiers. You're stationed either in Jerusalem proper or in the Antonia fortress, which sits right above the temple courtyard. Positioned there on purpose so the population never forgets who's watching. Your men patrol in formation. The sound of their sandals on the stone is deliberate. The short swords on their hips are deliberate. Everything about your presence is a message, and the message isn't subtle. You don't hate these people. Hate takes emotional energy, and you're a professional. You manage them. There's an execution you oversee this week. Galilean carpenter convicted of sedition. Claimed to be king of the Jews, which is treason against Rome. He doesn't look like a rebel. Doesn't act like one either. Most condemned men rage or beg. This one barely speaks. After he dies, something about the way it happens, you're not even sure what exactly, makes you say something out loud that you probably shouldn't have. Depending on who's telling the story later, you either said the man was innocent or you said he was the Son of God. Either way, not something a centurion is supposed to say about a convicted criminal. You go back to the barracks. You don't bring it up again. Level 9 is the most dangerous seat in Jerusalem, the high priest. Your name is Caiaphas, and you've held this job for 18 years. That number matters because most high priests under Roman occupation last about 4. Enter the Holy of Holies, the innermost room of the temple, where God's presence lives. You go in alone. They tie a rope around your ankle so that if you die in there, they can drag your body out without anyone else having to step inside. Think about what that says about the theology. God is so holy that being near him might kill you, and you're the only person deemed worthy of taking that chance. The rest of the year, you're a politician. You manage the temple. You chair the Sanhedrin, the 70-member council that serves as the supreme court of Jewish life. You negotiate with Rome, and you perform the most precarious balancing act in the ancient world, because if Jerusalem blows up, Rome won't send a mediator. They'll send legions. So when the Galilean preacher gets too popular to ignore, you don't agonize over it. You do math. One man's death versus the potential destruction of the entire nation. You say it out loud in council. 4-hour walk from where you're sitting. The trial happens at night. You break your own rules to get it done. Witnesses contradict each other. The verdict was decided before the hearing started. You send the prisoner to Pilate because Rome has to sign off on executions, and you want Rome's fingerprints on this one as much as yours. You'll hold your position for 3 more years after this. Then a new governor will swap you out for his own guy. You'll retire to a nice estate. History will call you the man who killed God. You'll say you saved your people. You'll believe that until the day you die. And then there's the top, level 10, the Roman Prefect. Your name is Pontius Pilate, and you hate this posting. You govern from Caesarea on the coast, proper Roman city, harbor, hippodrome, architecture that makes sense. Jerusalem is a theological maze full of rules you don't understand, run by priests who can barely stand the sight of you, populated by people who think your presence in their city is a personal offense against their God. The priests drag a prisoner in front of you during Passover. Preacher from Galilee, charged with claiming to be a king. You talk to him. He's calm in a way that gets under your skin. He says something about truth and about a kingdom that isn't of this world. You've done plenty of interrogations. Rebels either curse at you or beg for their lives. This guy does neither. He looks at you like he feels sorry for you. And that's a new one. You don't find anything worth killing him for. You say so, out loud, in front of the crowd. Doesn't matter. The priests push harder. The crowd gets louder. The noise builds toward exactly the kind of chaos that ends careers. A riot during Passover, with the city packed to the walls with pilgrims, would require a military crackdown that would land on the emperor's desk. And once you're on the emperor's desk, you're done. So, you do what you do. You calculate. One man's life against the stability of the province. The math is the same math Caiaphas already did, just from the other side, and it lands on the same answer. You call for a basin of water, and you wash your hands in front of everyone. It's theater. It means nothing legally, but you need it to mean something to yourself. The water runs over your fingers, and the prisoner gets taken away, and the crowd settles, and the peace holds. For now, you'll last 3 more years in this job before a massacre in Samaria gets you recalled to Rome. History will remember you as the man who could have stopped it and didn't. The man you sent to that cross will be worshipped by billions. The empire that killed him will eventually adopt his religion as its own. But none of that has happened yet. Right now, it's Friday afternoon in Jerusalem. The sun's getting low. There's blood on a hill outside the walls. And every rung of the ladder, from the leper shouting unclean outside the gates to the prefect drying his hands on a cloth inside the palace, played their part in putting it there.